Okay, I'm really trying to remember all this. There's a lot here that I have to remember. So basically, I'm being guided to say this story, and I'm not exactly sure why. I'm thinking, who the fuck's going to see it? Number one. I mean, it's like a needle in a haystack if anyone finds it. The channel doesn't get too much traffic. It's who could possibly stumble upon this? Number one. Number two, what would it serve them? Is there something that they want to know? Is there an answer somewhere? Do they have questions about something? I really don't know. I mean, I'm trying to speculate, and I really don't know why I'm being guided to share this strange, it's not really strange, but just kind of odd, intriguing experience that I had in something that happened last night when I was doing dream work. There's two different types of dream work. There's this type that you do when you're conscious and awake, where it's predetermined where you go and what you do. You have a predetermined task, usually. You do it electively when you're awake and conscious. It's kind of like visionary work, astral projection, and things like that you're doing on purpose in rituals or something. And then there's the dream work that you do when you're actually literally asleep, like literally sleeping unconscious. Now that kind of dream work, you don't know where you're going to go. And most of the time, where you go is where your spirit guardians / spirit guides, I use that interchangeably, take you. You don't go there. You don't take yourself there most of the time. They take you there. And that's why it's so fucking random a lot of times, and you also have to make sure that it is an actual dream work dream and not just a random dream that you have that is reflective of your thoughts and emotions, okay? Because there are those kinds of dreams too. But basically, it's it seems fucking really random, and like it ends up being something very profound that you're meant to do, whether it's something that you need for yourself or whether it's someone you're meant to help someone else, something that you have to do to help someone else. It's always really profound, and things like this, you wake up and you're so dumbfounded by what just happened that you are a little shocked and out of it, Anyway, most of the time when I dream, I could literally be flying with no wings, just like going like this, and I think that I'm like, or like hovering, and just like hovering like what is that? Levitating everywhere. I think I'm awake. Okay, most of the time I have no fucking clue that I'm dreaming, and that's the way this was. And it didn't help that it started out really normal. It eventually got strange, but strange not the right word. Dreamlike. It started out really normal. I was just getting my car serviced, and then this big greyish, whitish, silverish greyish old van comes out of, somewhere. And they come up to me and they're like, yeah, you signed this paper thingy, and you said that you signed up for some kind of retreat, and here we are going to take you to the retreat. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. And then I was like, oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Why did I do that? Was I drunk? Was I high? I've changed my mind. Well, you can't, because like you pre-signed it, and like, so you have to go. And I'm like, my fucking car is here. Everything's here. And by the way, I gotta go home. Like I got real responsibilities. I can't just leave my house. Like, we got in that van, and I was thinking, I really got to get home. It's been like an entire day that we've been in this van. By the way, when are we gonna like actually get food and water, especially water? Like, why is no one asking for water? Like, why do they just seem content to not have anything? What I didn't realize is I'd gone to the spirit realm. There's all different realms. There's the realm of the past, the present, the spirit realm, the dream realm, even the other places in the physical realm that you can kind of astral project to in the dream. You know, it's just so many different places you can go. And I didn't realize that I was in the spirit realm. And so spirits don't need physical, tangible food. You know, they may feed off of it, raw energy sometimes, but they're not. And so that's why they didn't care. Because everyone else I was around was dead. You know, and I'm the only living thing in that van that's needs physical food and water. Okay, so we'll sit here thinking, oh, how long is this going to be? I need to get back. I need to call someone, you know, maybe they can at least bring me water. So I'm like, wait a fucking minute, where's my phone? I don't have my phone. Seriously? I left my phone in the truck. Great. So, you know, I'm thinking, I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. And these people aren't even giving us food and water. It's really starting to feel like I'm in a culty situation here. And then I start to see people doing kind of either pagan or Native American, I'm not sure, because it was far away. Back up a minute, back up. Okay, so the van takes us to the mountain, which is like a evergreen, really big, like, reminds me of some of those really gigantic evergreens in Scotland. So it takes me there, to this mountain with the big trees and evergreens. By the time we get there, it's nightfall. And then there's this it's really strange. It was like an open, big, open on one end. The entire side of the building was open on one end, and then it went back like that. And there was a curtain on this side, and where they were doing those ceremonies was to the front and to the side. That'll be mildly important in a minute. So basically, you know, I'm seeing them do these bringing out smudge vans and things, and I'm starting to relax, thinking, okay, maybe these people aren't that bad. Maybe it's not what I think it is. You know, maybe they don't have food or water, right? You know, and so I'm thinking, okay. Or maybe they'll bring it out later, you know. Maybe they just haven't had a chance yet, you know. And starting to give them a benefit of the doubt. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm thinking, you know, what choice do I have? You know, might as well see what this is about. And then all of a sudden, right as I think that, this big-ish, chubby, with short black hair, 40s, probably in his 40s, lad, walks up to me and calls me by a name I recognize, but I also don't remember at the same time. It's like, yeah, that sounds familiar, but I don't fully remember. And when I get that feeling, I immediately, I've had that feeling enough to know. When I get that feeling, I immediately know that it's a name I've been called in a past life, and I just don't remember that past life. It was an olden name, a really olden, had a first and a last, it sounded like. You know, fairly olden, or maybe in a different olden language. And, you know, I think he might have said a few words, you know, greeted me or something, and then it still kind of not right at me yet, still walking towards me, and he's like, Taylor, you know, you look like a Taylor. And I'm like, what? No, that name was given to me out of rage and hatred. I most definitely do not look like a Taylor. I didn't say that, but I was thinking, how dare you call me an insulting name that was given by my evil fucking family that abused me and gave me that name out of hatred. I'm gonna ask you right now. I'm gonna ask you people right now, and I know you can't like tell me back, but like, do I fucking look like a tailor? Am I too tailorish to you? Like, does this face remind you of Taylor? Does it? I mean, I'm sure that lad's seen like countless tailors. I mean, that's kind of what he does. And like, it's his job, like to like see a ton of people move through there. Where I wasn't just any one said place in the spirit realm. It was limbo. And there's all different kind of limbo stations. That's a bad way to put it, if you will. And which one you go to kind of depends on you and your circumstance. So there's actually a lot of separate limbos out there. And it's not like it in the film Soul, where everyone's Kevin and they're all the same being, but they're acting like 16 million different beings. It's not like that at all. Every individual that you see there is their own being, a different person or creature or animal, whoever, whatever you see, you know, they're not all one thing. They're all separate beings, okay, from one another with separate individual personalities. But there are all these different, you know, limbos out there. And kind of like, if you think of, and I hate to compare things to film again, because it really, there's too much falsity in the film. Way more falsity than truth. But it kind of reminds me of Moon Knight, how they were saying, you know, that there are all different versions of this. But again, they implied it that there was only one, but that it looks different to different people. When what I'm trying to tell you is there are legit a bunch of different places throughout the universe, you know, and it depends on which one you go to. Okay, so anyway, bunch of different limbos out there. Now you got that established. Okay, so I'm walking up to him and I'm thinking, you fucking bastard. And then, you know, he's saying things like, you know, it's quite an honor to see you here, especially this time of your life. You know, usually I only get to see you when you die. And he just keeps talking. He's like, you know, I actually have been here for a lot of your deaths. And I'm thinking, okay. Okay. And he's just like, you know, seems to be really intrigued and really like respectful of me. And I can't tell if he's sucking up to me or if he's genuine. I wanted to say he was genuine, but, you know, I mean, like, what did I do to you to make you so fond of me, you know? He knows me, and I just don't know him, because I'm not dead, and I don't remember all my past lives, and I don't remember all the times that I went there to that particular limbo. Limbo is kind of like the place a lot of us defaultly go. I don't know if all of us go there, but a lot of us just defaultly end up there, because we need to sort some things out before we can actually go any step further to either live another life or perhaps get a threefold in the spirit realm or something. And by the way, you can feel true pain in the spirit realm, real pain in your threefold. So, you know, do you get another life? Do you become a spirit warrior, or do you get a threefold? You know, there's some things you got to sort out, some just really grave decisions you have to make, especially if you're unsettled in your spirit, and a lot of us are, chances are you will have to go there. It won't just be a default thing. You will have to go there. They test your soul. They test your spirit to see how pure it is and how tainted it is. So basically, if you and to what degree that is. So are you mostly good with a little bit of tainted evil, or are you mostly evil with a little bit of good, or and so they're testing all of that. And before they test that, I finally found out what the ceremony was. They do this thing to help you remember all of your past lives. This before they test you, they bring back all your memories from all the past lives you've ever lived, and all the in-between moments in the spirit realm as well, in between each life. Now you have all your memories back, and then after that they test you, and that test can be a lot of different things, but typically they're testing to see how imbalanced your chakras are. So they're going to do a lot of really deep emotional, moral tests. It's hard to explain, but okay. So anyway, testing the purity of your soul is definitely a deep subject. But anyway, so people were lining up to get tested, and then a lot of people in the back of that, to the very back of that gigantic building, were just kind of walking around aimlessly. They were just kind of walking around aimlessly. So I guess there are some people who go there, but they're not ready. They don't feel ready to get in line. And I'm thinking, this line is fucking long. I'm going to be here forever. I was standing in a line. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I just, I can't wait this long. I'll find another way to get out of here, but I can't wait this long. That lad eventually stopped talking to me, but before he did, we had a strange conversation about the true meaning of death. And what I mean by that is, when he was talking about I've been here for a lot of your deaths, and I said, well, really? Because the last time I died, I didn't see you. And he's like, well, when was that? And I said, well, it was when I was little, and I woke up in the drawer of a hospital morgue. He said, no, you didn't die. I said, well, yeah, like they thought I was dead. My heart stopped for long enough that they thought I was dead. He said, that's not death. Basically what he was saying was, unless your body rots and you never wake up, that's not death. That's not true death. Even though when I had kind of died temporarily, I had an astral projection moment where I was walking around the hospital. So with all these other ghosts. So my spirit severed from my body temporarily in that moment. I mean, it was that close to death. So, but his definition is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your spirit temporarily leaves your body. If you wake up, then you'd never died. Which is it's an interesting way to think about death, really. It's an interesting way to think about life, actually, too. Just because your heart stops, doesn't mean you're actually dead. This is like a bewildering thought. Anyway, but like I said, if your body starts to rot and you never come back, and okay, so that was what he was trying to say. Anyway, I don't know what happened. I think maybe he went and talked to someone, came up to him, talked to him or something. I don't know. And this, like I said, this curtain there, it's all open, okay, towards the front, and then off to the side is where they're doing the rituals. But what I didn't know is it's not off to the side to the front necessarily. It's also to the side and down where that curtain is. And so I had an ADHD moment, and I was like, I need to get out of here. What if this curtain is a way to sneak out of here? So I like, I went like this and poked my head through, and which is really weird. I like had ears, like animal ears, and they got stuck on the curtain. So I guess the animal part of my soul was the inner, like Therian animal part of me was in that moment. I don't know, but anyway, so I was trying to pull my, like, because my ears got stuck on the thing, and I was like, just finally just shut it, but it was too late. I made it an immense mistake, because when I opened that, I saw the ceremony going on. I'm like, fuck, I'm not supposed to be here. This is someone's having something go on, and like, this is the last thing that I'm supposed to do is intrude on that. And I'm like, what the fuck are they going to do to me? Are they going to, like, forgive me? And so I was like, all up beside myself about it. And you could hear, when after I closed the curtain, you could hear that the lad that was getting tested, it was not going well. It was not going well at all. And you could hear that before I went in there, and you could hear that during. And I don't know why, but I just got a impulse, like intrusive thought to do it again. And I thought, I shouldn't do this, but I did anyway. And I went like that, and that kid in there couldn't be any more from like 8 to 11. There's a kid in there, and he looks and points and says, I know that face. I know that it's a familiar face. I know who that is. I'm like, oh no. And I just close it back again. And started to walk away. Well, he runs out and runs up to me and like bear hugs me and says that he misses me. And I'm like, okay, this has to be another person that I knew from a past life. This has to be someone I knew in a past life. That's the only thing that makes sense. And so I'm like sitting here thinking in my head, okay, little dude, I don't remember you right now, but I know that you must have been a really good friend because of how much you seem to care about me. And so I just hugged him back, a bear hug back. And, I was like, okay, well, whoever you are, wherever you came from, my life right now, I've got no one. And I said that part out loud, actually. I said, I have no one. I've got no friends. I've got no family. And I've really never had anyone for more than a really short period of time in this life. Like, my granny was there for many years of my childhood, but I only got to see her once or twice a year. So it wasn't like she was there with me every day. I barely got to see her. A couple other people in my life were good friends, but I only got to see them for like a couple months, and then we moved away. I was forced to move with my family, and I never saw them again. So, I won't say that I was all alone, but I was shown enough compassion to know it existed, and that is the important thing. But in that moment, I just started feeling really grateful that he was there, because, I've been alone for so long with nothing, most of my life, in this current life, nothing but pain and torture from my family, my abusive family, and always having to watch my back, and never having anyone that truly loved me unconditionally, at least not human, that was there with me, you know, for more than a blip of time. And I missed that, and I missed him, even though I didn't remember him. I knew that he came from somewhere, and I missed him. And so I'm there crying my head off, wishing I knew who he was, and maybe I can do a past life regression to find out if I'm given permission, or maybe his spirit can tell me. But if I'm not meant to find out, I can't. That's the sad thing about it. There's certain things that you only find out if you need to. And so I hope I get to know, but I don't know if I'm going to. So anyway, he seemed to really hate everyone else around him. He seemed to be untrusting of everyone else around him, trying to help. Even his own guides and guardians, he did not seem to trust. And there was no one in that spirit realm that he trusted enough. And he was failing every test that they were throwing at him until he saw me. And at that moment, he showed compassion, immense compassion, and he proved to them that he's got a huge part of his spirit that has a huge heart, and he's just a little blind with rage is all. I know exactly how that feels, because it wasn't too long ago, about 200 or so years ago, in a past life of my own, which I don't think it is the same that I knew him. I think it was a different life. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a different, because that past life I was pretty much alone too. But yeah, I remember being like that, and even innocent people, I remember saying to myself, yeah, they're probably innocent, but I got to protect myself and defend myself, and that comes before me, making a mistake and mercying them. By the way, I was innocent, and I had all these bad things happen to me, and the way that I thought about it back then was, well, why do they get to be spared of the pain and the suffering? It seems like it's not fair, and that even the innocent people should know how it feels to feel pain, and that's wrong. That was really, really wrong. I didn't realize just how much pain I gave. I ended up being and doing the evil things that were done to me through that blind rage. And I remember having a threefold for it, and going to what an really olden word for it's Kratos. It's a pagan term, but I don't think Kratos is used anymore. But Kratos is basically a keeper that punishes, and if you learn your lesson, she lets you go. But if you never learn your lesson, then she eventually eats you right before your spirit dies. It takes a long time for a spirit to die, by the way. It could be eons, thousands of years. of constant torture and physical pain. I can't explain it, but physical pain exists in the spirit realm. And so basically I went from being an arrogant prick to, I deserve to be punished forever. Please don't make me leave. Keep punishing me. And I was forced to go to the center of the universe to heal and mend. And I remember thinking, as a punishment in itself, to make me heal instead of giving me what I want, which is more pain and punishment. I felt that bad about it, because once I realized what I'd done, I realized how wrong it was, and the only way for me to realize it was to go through that punishment and know how it feels to do what I did to those people. It was the same. What was done to me was the same thing I did to them over and over and over again until I learned. And there's really no other way to understand it. When you get blind like that, and your rage is blind, and you just want vengeance, there's no other way to understand. And unfortunately, you also cannot avoid your punishment. So either you learn, or you stay there forever. You should at least try to learn. So I felt really bad for him, because I knew that he probably had a threefold from the blind rage, but I also knew that, like me, what he did didn't come from true evil. True evil knows someone's innocent and doesn't do it out of rage, just does it out of pleasure. Just does it because they like it, because they think it's fun. And that's not what he was doing. He was doing it out of vengeance and defense, very defensive, and didn't trust anyone. I saw me in him, and I just thought, oh no, he's going through what I went through 200 plus years ago. He's obviously somebody I really cared about, and I just felt bad about it, I thought, there's nothing I can really do other than comfort him and let him know that there are good people in the world, that people, that not everyone and everything is bad, and I think in that moment, maybe there are key moments in our spirit's life, the key moments in time where our spirit shatters, and his spirit had already shattered a lot, and I thought maybe this could have been something that pushed him over the edge, had no one like me been there to show him compassion. It has to be someone you trust. When you're already in blind rage, other people show you compassion, but you don't believe it. You don't believe it's real, so it has to be someone you already trust. And no one was there that he already trusted. So, I was the only one that showed up. I was the only one that showed up that he had already trusted. And I don't know if that's because I was the only one. It can't be. I just think I was the only one that showed up. And so, had I not showed up, and had I refused to do that, because you can refuse, if I'd refused to do that, would his spirit have completely broken? Probably not. But I think that a big chunk of it would have shattered off eventually. Had he not have someone there to remind him, that you know, to remind him of who he is, and that someone does care about him and love him, and that's not fake, it's real. And that if he would just look around, there's probably a lot of other people that genuinely care about him too, that he's dismissed because he didn't believe him. You know, it's that moment, it's like a domino effect. I've had a lot of those moments myself. You know, it's like a point of no return, and I don't think he was at a point of no return, but I think he was getting to the point where he was starting to lose all hope in anything good. And you know, there's some unanswered questions I have about those tests. Would they have been able to see inside her soul, you know, his potential? I'm sure they would have. You know, I wouldn't have had to be there for that. They should have been able to see that compassion within him. But maybe he needed to make the active decision. You know, it's one thing to have compassion in your heart, it's another thing to decide not to use it. Maybe he needed to make an active decision to be vulnerable and use it. I'm just going out on a limb here, but yeah, it was strange, and it's really odd is what happened next. I don't know how much of this was just my own head kind of muddying the water and how much of this was real, but I turned around and people setting out food. And I saw that there was, you know, it looked like there was water of some sort. Not water, but beverages of some sort, kind of off in the distance. And it started out just looking like the normal thing that we were in, but then instead of like a little buffet type of thing, it totally shifted into a fucking entire grocery store, like an entire market. And like they're like, oh yeah, we like pull the stuff from the market and like cook it right here. I'm like, wait, but the market wasn't there before, you know. I'm thinking, okay, where did this all come from? Have we been in this all the whole time? No, we haven't been. Why is it changing? You know, and I think that was me stepping out of that realm and going back into the dream realm. That's the only thing that makes sense. The dream realm is a portal into other realms, or it can be. So I left limbo from the spirit realm, came back into the dream realm, and everything in the dream realm, stuff rapidly changes like that. And then that dream kind of ended, and I woke up trying to look for water. I woke up and I realized that, you know, something profound had happened. I just didn't know what. What really grabs a hold of me the most is that, you know, I think it was company more than fate. You know, I think it was like, I know I didn't change anything. I couldn't have. He changed it for himself, but I know that me being there, not being there, couldn't have possibly made the difference between him completely losing himself and him. It can't. all I would have been able to do was invite that idea, and he would have had to walk through that door. By the way, I forgot to mention, we literally stood there and like we're hugging for like an unnaturally long amount of time, hugging and crying and not letting each other go. And just people talking to each other that were doing the ceremony, and one said, just let them be. Eventually, the little lad kind of lets go of me and then gets distracted and runs off and says, oh, look at that thing over there, and runs off towards wherever he saw that thing. And that's before the thing with the food and all that. So once he was gone, basically immediately, it switched from limbo to dream realm. The second he was gone, my guys were like, okay, you don't need to be here anymore, we're taking you back. I went there just for him. I did. I didn't go there for me. I went there for him. I know I did. I started out thinking it was for me because people came up to talk to me. I went there for him. That was the only reason for me going there, was for him. So I hope I made some sort of difference. And I hope he knows he's not alone. I hope he eventually starts trusting his guides again. But I really just wish I could remember who he was. And one day maybe I will. So yeah, that was my really strange event. Like I said, it's not really strange, it's just, you don't normally go off into limbo. Not usually a popular realm to travel to. So it's just really humbled. It's really humbled me. I'm at a loss for words. That's how much it's humbled me. It's one of those things that you just go, you know what? The universe is massive, and I am a tiny little speck in this massive thing. I don't have as much control as I thought I did over stuff like this, and I am so much less wise than my guides. It's not even funny. I'm childishly unwise compared to my guides. Man, I still have a lot to learn, and who the fuck was I to these people? I mean, it goes on and on and on. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it at that.